Happy New Year and welcome back to Flute Tip of the Week. Once again, I am in a different area. This is our family's cabin in Quebec, right by Mont Tremblant, which is where I've been snowboarding ever since I was a little kid. So it's been great to have some time off and be with my family for the holidays, but I am raring to go, and I think that this is something that people need to work on and employ in their daily practice routines. So let's jump right in and get a good start to 2017. If you find yourself making more and more mistakes and getting frustrated, take a moment to put your flute down and do some stretches and focused breathing. I do this very often with my students because what will happen is as they start making more mistakes, they will be focusing so hard on what's happening that they'll start to get physically tense and they'll forget to focus on the things that allow them to even play the flute in the first place, such as your breathing, where your muscles need to be placed, and basically the only solution is to stop what you're doing, put everything down, and just take a moment to reset. If you keep on trying to push yourself through these mistakes, the only thing you're going to do is create a habit of making a mistake in that place and also have a lot of tension associated with that piece. And as we've talked about so many times on this channel, whatever you do frequently will become a habit. And if you get into the habit of allowing yourself to get extremely frustrated and very tight and not doing anything when you find that you went from making one mistake to 5 mistakes and from that to 10, and if you just don't stop and take a moment to reset, you're going to just keep on with this snowball effect. When I was younger, I thought yoga was kind of funny, but in the last few years, I've really realized its merit and how helpful it is, especially for musicians. And so a lot of these things will be using a yogic sensitivity, and I really do suggest that any flutist or musician out there who is finding some issues in terms of getting your muscles in the right place or just maintaining a sense of inner calm or controlling your breathing or anything physical or mental, you really should get into yoga. It is excellent. And a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today is going to have that as a kind of background. Basically, all of these stretches you can do sitting down. So I'm going to remain as I am so that I can just demonstrate this to you in a way that you would be doing it. First, you'll want to fix up your arms and your shoulders. So this is a pretty common stretch. Probably everyone had to do it when they were in school doing PE class. It is still incredibly helpful though. So basically, you'll just want to take a second and stretch your arm and just feel the nice stretch in your socket and everything. And while you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're focusing on your breathing and having it very slow, very calm, and very quiet. The more oxygen into the bloodstream, into the muscles, the easier everything is going to feel. And then you'll also want to grab your elbow and stretch like this. It's kind of the offset to the first stretch. So already my shoulders feel a lot better and my back actually feels a bit more loose. The next thing that'll be important to stretch right away will be your neck. You want to make sure that when you do this stretch, you don't go too far and crane your neck extremely to one side or the other because that could cause some stretched muscles. So this is all to be done with a good understanding of where everything has to be aligned. So you'll want to essentially roll your ears. Just imagine that you are pivoting instead of craning your neck around. And when you feel a crunchy place, you just breathe into it and allow your neck to continue passing through it. And then of course, you'll switch. And what that does is it just releases anything in the spine that was getting crunched up, especially if you're getting really tense in a fast section. You might have your shoulders raised, and so not only does that affect your arms, but it shortens the length of your neck and will cause everything to just get very tight and very locked. So this is a very good one to just make sure that everything is going to be relaxed, and it'll help you keep your shoulders down a lot easier. Another important one to do is for your hands. And basically all you'll be doing is having your arm extended, and as if you're saying to someone stop, you take your other hand and just gently pull back those fingers. So you'll feel that in your forearm and in your wrist. And then you switch so that you have your hand pointing down, and that stretches the top of your arm as well. And this will help you just release your wrists and allow the space around the tendons for your fingers to be more relaxed again. This is probably the most relaxing video I've made. I feel really, really good now. And again, remember during all of these stretches to keep on breathing very slowly and make sure that you're breathing into your abdomen instead of into your chest. So if you feel your chest rise first when you're breathing, then that could also be something that is a problem when you're playing the flute. Because if you're automatically breathing quite high, you're not going to be able to have the resonance, you're not going to have the capacity that you need because you're giving yourself a smaller cavity to fill. And because of the lack of air, this would cause tension in your muscles, which would go into your playing, also into you getting more frustrated. Another very good and important stretch, which you cannot do sitting down, is doing a forward bend. I know that not all people are able to bend with their legs straight and touch the floor with their hands, but it's good to use this to stretch out your lower back and just to let your arms hang down and just relax those. Just have your legs hip-width apart and just let yourself drape over. Don't necessarily worry about touching the floor, but use your hands to maybe twist you around a little bit and just get a little bit of freedom and looseness in your lower back. Because anything that happens in the lower back is going to transfer not only up your spine, but down into your legs. And of course, as flutists, we do most of our playing standing up. And it's important to make sure that our legs aren't locked and that we don't end up with additional tension just because we've forgotten about our lower spine. There is one specific kind of breathing in yoga that I wanted to mention today, and that is something that they call ocean breathing. So what that is basically where you have a small bit of activation in the muscles in the back of your throat. And they always say activation of muscles instead of a tension or a tightening, because of course that has some negative connotations in terms of stressing the muscles and everything. So they activate the back of their throat so that when they breathe in through their nose and out through their mouth, it creates a kind of wave sound. Not only is this kind of breathing very refreshing as long as you make sure to keep breathing into your stomach, but it also really does sound like waves going by. So if you're someone who likes going to the beach or listening to waves going by, you can create your own by breathing with ocean breathing. And once you've taken this time, pick up your flute and try that passage again, because I guarantee it is going to work this time. It's just as long as you keep on trying to drill the same passage and make the same mistakes and then just add on to that, you're never going to get better unless you take a moment to reset. And when you take that moment, it's going to be really useful and also very calming to do these stretches and just focus on your physicality instead of what you're trying to do with it. Because as long as you're really aware of everything that's going on in you, that'll make your life easier and it'll give you less to worry about when you're actually playing the flute. So again, that tip was if you find yourself making more and more mistakes and getting frustrated, take a moment to put your flute down and do some stretches and focused breathing. I hope you find this week's tip helpful. This is something that I do very often with my students because a lot of them do have busy lives just before coming to our lessons. And so it can be very easy to bring the stress from other work or from anything you've done socially into your playing, and that's not really going to help anybody out. It's not going to be good for the student, and it's going to make the teacher's life a little bit more difficult if there is this one boundary that just is put up that is beyond their control. But the thing that you can do to be able to regain that control is take a moment and just hit the reset button. So I'll be seeing you all next week. Flute happy, stretch happy, and keep on with your mental reset.
I wanted to show you guys myself boarding, but you see, I don't have a GoPro, so I'm doing this on my phone. These are the things I do for you. So glad it's not cold, otherwise my hand would be freezing. Welcome to Tremblant.